Okay, finally getting on this G10 van. This thing is the door, side door. You can see rusty, very bad. So what I did is I cut the bottom off this Dodge door and welded it there. I just have it tacked. I'm going to check for fitment. I don't know if you can see that very good, but this way it saves me a lot of time bending all these angular pieces. The other side of the door is really messed up too, so I'm going to have to reskin it, but at least this gives me a good solid end cap, and I have more of those Dodge doors than the Osmonds have teeth, so they're not really worth anything to me. I can just use them as donors. That's the first step. So there it is, the Dodge door bottom. It's just tack welded. This isn't connected. This is, as you can see, that's crazy thick. This is just a big blob of Bondo. So I'm not too worried about the door gaps right now, but you can see it does close. It needs a little attention there, but that's not a big deal. But this is actually very nice. It's better than the original bottom of the Chevy door, so that's good. This needs to be dealt with, but that's just adjustment. But my plan is to cut here and reskin it like this. Put that crease in the metal and just come down this way, like right above the gap where the hinge goes in, and make a patch panel here, and then just replace all this with all brand new metal, and then weld it together, because that's like, you know, metal plastic. Bad. The Bondo barge. So there it is. That's my plan. Alrighty. I don't know if you can see that very good. This is a lot of Bondo. This is the peak here of where the door has its peak, and it's gone. It's good here at the edges, and the metal's good at the edges. The whole center's toast, rust, a lot of holes from it being someone pulling all the dents out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all this out just below the lock, and then by the hole for the hinge, and then up here like so. And that's my plan. So I'm going to use the wire wheel and get some of the body filler off, and then draw a guide with a marker. That's the first step. Delicious. So you can see, and I'm just going to cut all the way around and just get rid of this whole thing. I'm not going to mess with trying to save it. It's junk. Yeah, that's my plan. Then I'll have a little thin skin of Bondo over it when I'm done welding it. There's the Dodge door. So, you know, kind of messed it up there. That's fixable. So yeah, anyway, that's what we're up to. Next is the cutting. All right. Okay. Look at that thing. Yeah. There it tells the tale of being pulled out. Oh my, that's all Bondo. That is so thick. Hear that? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to use this as a template. Take the new panel, it's going to go in here, and then I'm going to use a sheet metal brake to put that crease here back in the metal. It's not perfect there, but hey, I don't really care. I'm going to just do the best I can. I'm not looking for some Concourse d'Elegance kind of thing here. You know, it's a frickin' van. I'm gonna fill it with junk. But this I can do. So there we go. That's the next step. Okay, I got my panel cut. I cut it a little longer about a 1/2 inch because the old one has this crease in it. So if you flatten that out, of course it's going to be longer than what I cut there. I knew that. And this is rusty metal, so I'm using rusty metal to fix rusty metal. It's not bad. I saved these old flap wheels that are worn out because they're really good at just cleaning up a piece of metal without digging into the material. So I'm going to give this thing a little shiny chine, and then it should be good, and then I'll be able to use it, and we'll shape it and try to fit it in the door. I made it a little bigger. Better a little too big than too small, but y'all know that. No mystery there. So I'll get on that and show you the results after I drink my coffee. Okay, there you go. Not bad. Yeah, don't waste stuff. This side is pitted, so I'm going to trim from that edge, and that's going to be on the inside. This is much nicer. This will be the outside. That's the plan. That thing's pretty toasty. It took a while, but you know, these things are like $5 a piece, and they last 3 minutes, and then they're basically junk. You gotta learn how to economize with this stuff. You're doing it yourself, and that's the way you do it. I repaired this too. The cord was bad. I used a voltmeter and tested for continuity, fixed it, and I think I've had this 15 years. I don't know. So whatever. You guys can think what you want about that, but that's my general philosophy. I think that's kind of like the core of hot rodding originally, is just use what you got and make it work. And, not everything needs to be homogeneous Chevy 350 or an LS or whatever. You can do what you like with whatever you got laying around. That's what I'm doing. So that's that. Oh, this thing's heavy. Heavy. Oh my goodness. I don't even know if it's gonna fit up here. Maybe not. I have to make some room. Yeah, I do. Dealing with here. Gotta weigh like, oh geez, 60, 80 pounds, something like that. Okay. There's the creaser. Woo! I think my friend picked this up on Facebook Marketplace for $100. I patently refuse to be on effing fake book. Oh my goodness. I had a MySpace page, which is, MySpace is kind of like internet herpes, right? Because once you have one, you can never get rid of it. Very quickly I realized what a phony bunch of BS that was, and I deleted everything on it. I don't need to stay in touch with people I went to high school with that I've never talked to again. Nothing personal. It was proximity that brought us together. We weren't friends. You know, gotta get over that stuff. That. Lots of ex-girlfriends. Bad. You're gone for a good reason. Alright, so we just know. Anyway, there it is, the Harbor Freight sheet metal brake. So what I'm going to do now is figure out where I need to do the creasy and mock it up with the door. So let me do that. I'll move over there at the camera, maybe. We'll see. Okay, so using a level as a guide, there's a high spot here, so I need to use this and then take that down a scotch. So we do that. A little bit more. It's not going to be perfect, but get it close as possible. Just a wee bit. There we go. Much better. Okay, so now that's the bad side. Fit the panel. I cut it a teeny bit wide and it wound up being just wide enough, which was a happy accident. If I had a marker in my hand, how about a functional one? That's always a good one. Okay, just more Sharpies. All right. Okay, so I'm going to try to use this as the mark, and then I'm going to use the other one as a guide. Okay, so there's the crease from the factory. And if you line these two pieces of metal up, see, you're losing some material there, so you've got to double check. It's like maybe a 1/16 of an inch or so further in. So there was my initial mark based on this. And then when you look at this, you see it's a little bit down. So it's just a teeny amount, but it makes a big difference. You don't want that to be off center. I mean, the whole rest of the van is like chitty chitty bang bang, so you make one nice door. Just putting that mark just below, and usually as a guide. Okay, so that, in theory, should give me that. Now, it's always good to measure a third time. Measure this distance and this distance. So we'll do that. So I have about 1 1/16 there. And about 1 1/16 there. So that ought to do it. I'm just going to give it a little in that, just a teeny crease. Lay it in there and see what's happening. So I want to bend it up, and that's going to put it in there that way. I guess I could bend it this way. No, that's inverted. Okay, so then I have to draw this line on the other side. Okay. See, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So that's the next step. I'll get that line on the other side and we'll do that. Alright. Just gonna give it a little, just a teeny little bend. Not much. Of course it's not held to the frickin' bench. I think there's something missing here. Some lever sticks or something. Just put my foot there. Fuck it. Okay, that's a little bit. That's all you need. It's not much. Maybe too much. There's our peak. Now we see how bad we screwed up. That's the next step. Okay. Lay this guy in here. How does it look? That lines up. Think that doesn't look terrible. Now the trick is I'm gonna have to trim it. That matches. I think once I drop this in there, quite a bit of material. Drop that in there, it'll line up, and then I can push it out and match the bow there. just needs a little finessing. And cut there and there. I can use that as a guide to draw a line, and then I can trim it. So we're going to do that. All right, let's see how bad I misjudged the cut. Let's see. There's no access back there. Darn it. That is pretty good. A little more, which is better than too much. See how nothing's working right. Eyeball it. Okay, so I need to trim a little bit there, and then this side, same thing. So I need to cut this probably another 30 seconds or 1/16 of an inch, and then I'll try and refit it, mount it to the bench. It'd be easier. Okay, I won't bore you with filming me cutting that piece of metal twice, because that was real exciting, I'm sure. Okay, a little finagling, and that looks pretty good. Can't get it exactamundo in there. I have to start tacking it. The peak may be a little, if you want to line that up. Yeah, see? So that's a little too much. So I gotta kind of bend this back. I just lay it on the ground and push on it with my feet and take some of that bend out, and that'll be good. And I'll start by just tacking it there and then massaging it in a little at a time. I think that'll work. So I just stepped on it. Now we look at it again. That's much better. Now we have metal. So there's that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and bust out the welder and start trying to put this thing into position. See what happens. Alright. Let's get this party started. Just kind of get the corner set where I want it. Line. Handle. It's going to be a little high starting out, and then I'm going to push it down. So there's a little bit of curvature, I think, to the door. So I have to be cognizant of that. And slowly sort of mosaic it back into position. Now that I do that, I'm finding out that this needs a little trimming. That's okay. You can just trim as you go. So this can get tricky here to get this up to line up with that. So try to figure that one out. Just using a screwdriver and just getting the line good. Doing some tacks. Probably have to build that peak up a little bit. Maybe I'll just take that down now with a hammer before I lay this in here. Looks like it's still a scotch too high, so I'm going to do that and then get back to the welding. Alrighty, more shenanigans. Try to get it right, and you know, this is why it's so expensive. You pay someone to do all this stuff. I'm no pro, obviously, and it's challenging. So that little peak looks really good. Tacks. This guy, that looks good. So I kind of just have to, this side's a little messed up. Gotta kind of bend it. I mean, no guarantee the door is even remotely straight. This thing was pretty beat up. It was from Oregon and very rusty. Looked like two giant pieces of bubble gum stuffed in the A-pillars when I got it. But, you know, too cheap to pass up. You know how that goes. Too cheap. There we go. Now we're getting our shape. So I'm just gonna kind of like creep down, then trim this, and that way it looks somewhat like a door again. Just kind of crabbing it down like that. Kind of walking it in place. Probably doing it wrong. Someone's probably going to tell me I'm doing it wrong. But whatever. I'm doing it. That's not great. I gotta get that. I think I need to trim that just a little bit more. A couple hundredths of an inch. side by doing that. Up a little. Okay. Now that's a little tweak now. Come up some. Other side of that. Screwing it up. Okay, it's a little better, but I think. Okay, making some progress. Out to be a happy accident. Okay, this side. So now that kind of creeped over a little bit, so I need to do a little trimming. Ooh, we got a fire. Hold on a minute. Over there. Okay. Probably shouldn't be welding around cardboard boxes and plastic and stuff. I got a brain. Never once said I was smart. Okay, so I'm going to pause and do a little trim on this guy and fit it in and then finish that up. And we'll have that panel in before I can go to work. Nice. Okay, before the battery in the camera dies. Back in business. Maybe not. Oh, what the hell. I've done this a couple times before. There it is. There we go. Okay. Welding without gloves. You burn yourself. Who would have thought? Push it down here. Lining up pretty darn good. You're gonna have to put a little body filler on it anyway. So, but you know, a 16th or 32nd of an inch of body filler, no problem. 3/8 of an inch of body filler, that's probably a problem. You don't want to do that. Looks like we got a little discrepancy there. Oh, that was good. I beat on it too much. Maybe that little thing is tack. Do it. I think that's okay. That needs a little attention. Okay. Like that or not. There's no reason to rush. That needs to come up. Okay, so pause again. Do a little more shenanigans. Okay, back at it. You can see the skin's in. Not too shabby. All metal. So, there's probably 9,312 videos on how to weld this stuff. So, I don't need to belabor the point too much, but you don't want to just go. It'll cause it to warp. So, you're just doing lots of little tacks and kind of dancing around the material and just fill it in slowly. It's a little tedious. But that's the way to do it, as far as I know. Could be wrong. I don't really know everything about this stuff. I'm no master metal worker, that's for darn sure. So that's it. I'm gonna get on it here, and then I'll cut to the finish. Just start dancing around on it. Very exciting. That's it. That's what you're in for. So I'm going to turn off the camera. I don't think you need to watch me weld this for 40 minutes, you know? I'll finish it up and then I'll show you what I did. Okay, so I got it probably 99% welded on the top there. You can see. So in the process, this is a little concave now. I got a port of power. I'm going to stick it in there and just try to push that out as best I can. I'm going to have to skin it anyway to make it nice, so that's not a huge deal, but it would have been nice if it was a little better. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's a van, so I don't really care all that much. I just want it to be halfway decent as we go through the process here. I'm not looking for top tier, because I'm doing it. That means it's going to be backyard shenanigans, of course, all the way. Good enough. So I got to grind all that stuff down and then push it out. Then I got the backside to finish. So there's more to do. And then we'll put it back in the van and see, get it lined up and see how it does. Alrighty. This is all welded. Cut this end here and put the cap on from the Doge door. So that's sealed. And now we're going to do the grinding. You start off with a grinder wheel, which is loud. It's all get out, but I've matured. I use ear protection now. And then finish it off with the flap wheel so you don't waste it, because these things, as I've mentioned before, they don't last very long. So do all the heavy grinding with this and then go to that. So we're going to film that, because that's real exciting stuff, I'll tell you. And then go from there. Okay. let's just like to try to get it as close as possible, not dig into the material too much with this, because this really gouges the metal. So use the flap wheel next and get all that even Steven, and then you can see there's like I mentioned before, there's a low spot here. So I'm going to have to dig the porta power out and push that out before I skin it. Kind of almost want to just leave it this way with the Doge down here. It's kind of cool, but we're not going to do that. So got to weld those holes shut. Missed a spot or two here. There, I didn't even weld that together, so there's a little bit more metal work to do. So that's where we're at right now. But metal, much better than 3/8 inch blob of Bondo and a bunch of holes. So this is in SoCal now, so you know it's never going to rust away. I don't need to be too crazy about rust prevention, but yeah, trying to Bondo barge the Bondo barge. That's the plan. Alrighty. So you may not be able to see that, but there's a big the whole center of this just fell down in. I started to push it out already. I kind of jumped the gun, but you can see that big gap. So I got to push the panel out. I got the porta power down there shoved inside, and then I clamped this to there, to the counter, because that way it won't push on the inside of the metal. So I was thinking about sticking a piece of wood in there, but there's just not enough real estate. So I'm just moving it around. You see it wants to go down. Trying to see if I can just get it to come back out. It's no good. I don't like that. I may have really messed this up, but not intentionally, or just through my incompetence. That went the wrong way. So I can't really even see what I'm doing. Just guesswork. Sideways? Yes, it's sideways. Okay. It won't work. Really? There's probably a way to do this. I don't want to have to cut the back of the door off and straighten it and then put it all back together. I'm just doing it all over, I guess. Okay, now let's try that. Wow. Thought this would work. It's being really obstinate. This is having a lot of memory, the metal. Fill that whole thing with body filler. That would basically be right back to where I started from. Maybe start from the the edges. A real body guy probably already knows what to do, but I'm not that person. Yeah, I'm not sure. You know, it is a little better, honestly. Just keep at it, I guess. Really hard to maneuver the tool in there. Thing is, it comes back. It's got some serious memory. Hey, what a mess. Nope. I thought that would be the jam. It's not the jam. It's the anti-jam. Thing's gonna have more waves in it than the ocean at this rate. Okay. Where's that level? Sure, this happens to you. You put something aside so you don't lose it, you know where it is, and then you forget. And now I don't know, I don't remember. Same as it was when I started. That's all gotta get pushed out somehow. Alright, I gotta think about this for a minute. See if I can figure out a solution. It's tedious. So I kept at it, and I think I got some of that memory out. Now this is now a high spot. So I have a lot of back and forth. I think if I try to beat on it, it'll just sink right back down. I want to take those out. I found my level. It's right where I left it. I don't know if you can see, but this way at least you get a rough idea. Like there, it's high. Before it was almost a ½ inch sunk down in. So that's progress. Just kind of, I'm gonna try to get these two little bumps down and see if it sinks back down. I guess I just gotta kind of just keep playing with it. I don't know if breaking out the torch and heating up the metal would be advantageous or not. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. These big panels are just harder to work with, I imagine, than like I've done little patchwork here, like rebuilding A-pillars and stuff a bunch of times. That's easy in comparison, I guess. This is a new horizon for me, and definitely I can see it's pretty challenging. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna mess with it for a minute and then kind of see what the results are. Well, it's come to this. We're gonna try the torch. Just heat it up a little and push on it with a pry bar. I think that may alleviate the problem. I guess I should have rolled the pan somehow and put a rib in it, but you know, hey, I never said I knew what I was doing, did I? Oh, darn it. What the hell? Alrighty. So the saga continues. I cut the back off the door and tried to beat the panel out with a dolly and a hammer and then use a torch, and that didn't work out very good. I'm not a pro. So I cut that panel out and I put a thicker piece of metal in here because it was sitting there next to me when I had the tools. So that's why I did it. And then I welded some pieces of bar stock in here to keep it more rigid. And now I've got the quarter power under here to kind of push it out a little bit. And then I'm going to weld really slow, go around, and then just turn the welder off and come back in 15 minutes or whatever. And that's my plan. There's some gaps in here I need to fill. It's way better than the old one, but it's not perfect. And nothing a little body filler won't fix. And I'm trying to keep the amount of body filler to the minimum, because then, you know, I'm just kind of chasing my own tail, because I cut the panel out that was full of body filler because it was full of body filler. I'm not just going to repeat the same steps, even though this is all metal now, which is way better. So that's what I'm up to. The next step, going around trying to get it even as possible, and just tack it some more. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to film all this. I'm going to get this all done, and it's going to take me a day or two to finish it, and then that'll be it. So I'm just going to roll forward with it regardless. These two panels have curvature, and this one doesn't. I looked at the other door that's clean, and it's flat. So I'm on the right trajectory, I think, and you know, it's all being done with leftover material, so my costs are virtually zero. Not as good as a pro, but $0. Okay, so here's my backyard engineering. Struts. It's better than the previous deal, but not awesome. Never done a panel this big before, so I'm experimenting. And all that welding made a oil can dent here. I'm going to try to get in there with the torch and fix it, but I'm not optimistic about that. So So we'll see what happens. Let's not burn our house down. I don't think it worked. Maybe didn't do it long enough. We can always do it again. Didn't hit it good. Ooh, hot. Well, actually, that did it. Nice. Yeah, you know, it's the old can of worms story. You're creeping along, you're doing it, and then it's creating more problems. I mean, you know, this thing was pretty bad shape. There's probably a more learned, intelligent way to go about this problem, but I don't know it yet. Definitely enjoying the journey, and it is totally okay to make mistakes and mess things up and then figure out how to correct them. I mean, that's the learning process. There's nothing wrong with that. You can't knock these things out flawlessly. You've never done it before. You know, if I've done this 100 times or 500 times, then I could do it with aplomb, but I can't because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just figuring it out as I go. So that's the door. Let's turn the camera off and flip it over, and then I'll see what kind of abomination I have to work with. Okay, so the torch worked. That doesn't oil can anymore. There's just a dent there, a low spot. I can deal with that. It's obviously this whole door is probably skinned with Bondo. This sinks down a little, and maybe like 1/8 inch or so. With the old panel, it was like 3/8 to 1/2 inch. So this is much improvement. It's all metal now. That's good. So I'm going to start build this up, and then I got to build up this peak, and then start here and go down. So I'm going to mix the body filler and do that, and then get that all set up, and then I can start shaping it. And metal door, way better than it was. Alright, that's most of a quart of probably a little too old body filler. It was new. I just didn't use it. So yeah, lots of sanding in the future. I'm just going to let it get hard as a rock and just use a flat air sander and just slowly take it down. Probably have to add some more, you know, it just is what it is. So but it'll look mostly decent. I'm not going for perfection here because I'm physically incapable of obtaining it, firstly. Secondly, I don't know, just chasing perfection seems kind of silly because it really doesn't exist. It's just a concept. You just do the best you can. It's okay. So that's where I'm at right now with the door. A lot of progress. Alright, after 9,000 hours of sanding, this is where we're at. It's definitely got more waves in it than the ocean. There's a low spot there. And there. And some funny business there. There's a high spot. Those are obvious. So then here, big low spot, and there. So I hope I have enough body filler left to kind of finish this thing off. I'm pretty close. If you've never done anything like this before, any kind of sanding, cutting, filing, take the time you think it's going to take and multiply it by 3 or 4, and that's probably a closer estimate. Really been going at it with this thing. I'm using ancient sandpaper. I don't want to spend any money. This sandpaper is probably older than I am, and I'm a senior citizen. Okay, the price tag says $1.79. All right, Sears. All right. So it doesn't last very long because it falls apart. Because it probably could be collecting Social Security, but that's what's going on. But you know, the door is mostly metal, so it is a big improvement either way. So I'm gonna lay some more stuff in. After I did the first pass, I finally I found my good spreader after the fact. So I don't know, something to be said about organizing your tools a little better is probably key. So that's where we're at, and we're gonna keep at it. Okay, got off work and finished. I had just enough body filler to get the vast majority of it taken care of. You've got a mostly straight, mostly metal 65 Chevy van door now. So that's way better than what it was starting out. There's more to do. The peak here, I'll probably have to mess with that a little, but I want to do it when it's in the van so I can make them all matchy-matchy. So the only other thing I really need to do is weld the back piece back on and put it in the van. So progress. I didn't spend a single penny except the body filler I bought from Advanced Auto when they were going out of business. I think I paid like $4 for it. So $4 and some time and some, you know, 65-year-old sandpaper from Sears. There we are. Okay, there it is. In place. Gap's a little, needs a little attention. Got to work on that, but overall, the line, the peak is decent, better than I thought it was. Got a door. See, that's the bottom of the Dodge. I didn't deal with that yet. I just wanted to get the outside sorted out. That's a Dodge handle, by the way. But there you are. So $4 and probably about 10 hours of work. So moving along. It's coming along.